Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
All right, welcome to The Explainer. So let's talk about Bahrain. When I say that name, what pops into your head? For most people, it's probably oil, maybe big finance, or hey, even Formula One, right? But what if I told you the real story? The thing that truly makes Bahrain famous is this incredible story of resilience. It's all about a journey from ancient treasures to figuring out a future that goes way beyond oil. Seriously, this is a nation that has basically perfected the art of the pivot, and we're going to dive right into how they pulled it off. I mean, it's an easy assumption to make, isn't it? Oh, another oil kingdom in the desert. But here's the thing. For Bahrain, that's not just, an oversimplification. It completely misses the whole first chapter of their story. Just take a look at this. It's a perfect contrast. On one hand, you've got the soaring glass and steel towers of the Bahrain Financial Harbour. I mean, that just screams modern, global economy, right? But then on the other hand, you have these quiet, winding alleys of the Maharak Pearling Path, which tell a story that's so much older. And that right there, that duality is the story of Bahrain. It's this constant conversation between where they came from and where they're determined to go. Okay, so to really get at what Bahrain is all about, we've got to rewind, like way back, long before anyone even thought about drilling for oil. See, its original fame wasn't built on what was buried under the desert sand, but on what was hidden beneath the waves. Yeah, you heard that right. Pearls. We're talking for millennia, long before black gold was even a thing. Bahrain was the world capital for these incredible gems from the ocean. And they weren't just pretty things to wear, they were the engine of the entire economy, and really the soul of their culture. Let's lay this out on a timeline so it makes sense. The story kicks off way back in the 3rd century BC with the ancient Dilmun civilization. This place was a legendary trade hub. Now, let's fast forward to the 19th century. Bahrain is at the absolute top of its game, the world's #1 spot for pearls. But then, disaster. In the early 20th century, Japan figures out how to make cultured pearls, and the market just collapses. I mean, almost overnight, Bahrain's entire economy was on the brink of disappearing. But here's the thing, that legacy isn't just gone. Nope, it's literally woven into the fabric of the city, especially in places like the Maharak Pearling Path, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And this isn't some dusty old museum. It's a living, breathing part of the city that tells the whole story of that time. It's just such a powerful statement, It's about honoring your roots while you're still looking ahead. So imagine this, their main industry is just gone. Bahrain is at this massive crossroads. And then, call it a stroke of luck, call it destiny, whatever you want, in 1932, something incredible happens. They become the very first nation on the Arabian side of the Persian Gulf to strike oil. And wow, what a discovery that was. Just think about this number for a second. 70%. At its peak, oil made up over 70% of the government's entire revenue. The whole economy was just completely transformed. The age of the pearl was officially over and the age of black gold had begun. But that raised a really big, important question. See, they had already seen one major industry completely collapse, so Bahrain's leaders were super aware of the danger. Unlike some of their neighbors who were sitting on massive reserves, Bahrain's oil supply was, limited. They knew the good times wouldn't last forever. And relying on just one thing that's going to run out someday, that's not a strategy. That's a ticking clock. They absolutely had to think ahead. And you know what? That is exactly what they did. Bahrain became one of the very first Gulf states to seriously, actively plan for an economy after oil. They started this really deliberate strategic pivot to diversify and make sure they'd be okay in the long run. So this whole pivot, it was this calculated bet on a future that wasn't all about oil, and it was built on 3 main ideas. First, become a major hub for global finance. Second, bring in the world with big-ticket tourism. And third, position themselves as the central connection point for the whole region. When it came to finance, Bahrain didn't just, build a bunch of old-school banks. Nope. They leaped straight into the future, becoming a pioneer in Fintech.
They built things like Fintech Bay, which is the biggest in the Middle East, creating this whole ecosystem for new ideas. And here's the key part. They aren't just managing money, they're actively trying to invent the future of how money works. And on the tourism side, it's that story of contrasts all over again. You've got these massive global events like the Formula One Grand Prix that puts Bahrain on the world map for sure. But at the same time, they're all about promoting their deep culture and amazing food, inviting you to come and experience real, authentic traditions, like sharing a plate of Machboos, their national dish. It's a smart strategy, right? Offering both the huge spectacle and the genuine soul of the place.
And what about being a connection hub? Well, look no further than the King Fahd Causeway. This is a massive bridge that connects Bahrain directly to Saudi Arabia. Get this, every single day, more than 26,600 people, on average, cross that bridge. It's literally a physical artery that locks in Bahrain's role as the commercial and social crossroads for the whole Gulf region. And what's so cool is that this entire economic story, this really careful balancing act, you can see it written right on the country's skyline. I mean, you can literally see their national strategy just by looking at the buildings. Remember those two places we saw at the start? Well, now we can really understand the thinking behind them. The Pearling Path is all about cultural identity, right? Using traditional stuff like coral stone and wind towers. Then you've got the Financial Harbour, which is speaking this universal global language of glass and steel, built for international business. It's two totally different visions of what Bahrain is, and they're living side by side. So which one do the people of Bahrain actually want? Well, a recent survey asked them exactly that, and the answer is pretty fascinating. Only a tiny fraction wanted only traditional or only modern. The huge majority, a massive 64%, said they want a mix of both. And that's a huge stamp of approval from the public, basically saying, yes, this is the right path, blending our heritage with a modern future. So when you boil it all down, what is Bahrain really famous for? It's not just the pearls, and it's not just the oil. It's something way deeper than that. And this quote just nails it perfectly. Bahrain's true claim to fame isn't a product you can sell. It's a mindset. It's about resilience. It's having the foresight to see what's coming down the road, honoring your past without letting it hold you back, and just constantly innovating, even when everything is changing around you. Which leaves us with one last big question to think about. As more and more countries around the world have to face this challenge of moving away from their old industries, could Bahrain's story, that journey from pearls to oil and now to this diverse, smart economy, could that be the blueprint for everyone else? That's all for this explainer. Hey, if you learned something new here, do us a favor and hit that like button. Maybe share this with a friend, and definitely subscribe for more. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. What do you think is the most impressive part of Bahrain's story? Let us know. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.